I'm Dana Shagru with CE Ag World Greenhouse Produce, an innovative brand that engages with the rapidly expanding global greenhouse produce industry through a variety of platforms. Our mission is to educate and connect greenhouse produce growers and industry allies to help them better understand and sustainably advance the global food industry. On this episode of CE Ag Talks, I'll be speaking with Dr. Nadia Sabeh, president and founder of Dr. Greenhouse, an engineering system that specializes in the facility design of HVAC systems for indoor farms and greenhouses. As a mechanical and agricultural engineer, Nadia helps growers create optimal growing conditions for their greenhouses, container farms, and vertical farms. Nadia, welcome back to CE Ag Talks, and we're excited that you'll be joining us at the CE Ag World Conference and Expo next month.
Well, thank you, Dana, for having me. I'm really excited to talk about optimizing climates for indoor farms and greenhouses.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about OptimIA, a multi-state university project that aims to increase sustainability, viability, and profitability in the CEA industry. So to begin, can you give us a bit of background about the OptimIA project?
Yeah, sure. So you said multi-state, it is. There are multiple universities that are involved in this project, as well as a couple of, I guess, outside the university experts and researchers such as myself and USDA ARS. And so those universities include Ohio State, Michigan State, Purdue, University of Arizona, with a very powerful team, I would say, of CEA researchers that many people would know and respect in our industry for advancing the science in indoor farming and greenhouse production. You know, OptimIA is the nickname that we coined when trying to sort of condense what it is that we're doing, which is to optimize indoor agriculture. And the ultimate goal is to really help this emerging industry be more economical and feasible and really be able to sustain the business plans that people are putting together to address the market needs and wants, specifically for leafy greens.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like the project covers almost all of your bases there. But to go along with the economic part of the project, how does OptimIA plan to make the industry more profitable?
Good question. I mean, I think it's really the things that I said. One is looking at all these inputs, right? And because we know that, you know, a lot of the science says that we can increase the PPFD, right? We can increase the micromoles per joule. We can increase the DLI that we deliver to a crop, but that doesn't necessarily translate into a healthier, bigger plant. It really depends a lot on the cultivar, and it depends on, you know, all the variables working together. And I think that's one of the things that has been missing a lot, is that a lot of people just look at light, or they just look at temperature, or they just look at carbon dioxide. But this group is looking at the codependency of those variables working together. And then because we're actually then saying, okay, this is the amount of biomass that we're producing under these conditions, or this is the amount of, or the incidence of leaf tip burn that we're observing because we hit, you know, the pedal to the metal too quickly, that, okay, yeah, we have, you know, more biomass, but we're actually going to lose more product because 50% of it has leaf tip burn. Wouldn't it be better to grow maybe 50% less and have no leaf tip burn? You know, those are the sort of economical variations and components that we're looking at, is that, yes, you could grow more, yes, you could grow faster, but what is it worth in the end? And, you know, part of the economic study too, and I wasn't the economist, you'd have to ask Simone her results, which she's published some, and I know more is coming out, but they actually, her team did a survey of consumers asking, what are you interested in buying? You know, because I think there's been a big presumption within vertical farming and CEA over the last, you know, 5 to 10 years, that consumers want locally grown, sustainably grown produce. And so some of the survey work that she did was to kind of test those assumptions, right? Do consumers care that you use less water, or, that you're using less pesticides? Do consumers care that you grew it 50 miles away or 500 miles away rather than 3,000 miles away if you're in New York and buying it, getting it from California? Even what do growers care about? And some of those results have been really interesting, and I think have been coming out more as we've seen this industry kind of go through its ups and downs, especially, recently. Is I think people are learning, when it comes to lettuce, consumers just want something that looks good and tastes good. It's crunchy. They're probably going to put it on a sandwich anyway. Will they pay $5 for a head of lettuce that was grown 50 miles away if they could buy it for $1 a head of lettuce from somewhere else? And, it's really just there almost as an aesthetic, as opposed to, right, like a salad, a nutritious salad. And some people, of course, consumers do care about that, but maybe it wasn't as important as we assumed it was when developing some of these business plans. So it's really interesting that this team is, I don't know if I want to say I'm going to say it, poking holes, but just kind of, right, pushing on some of these assumptions, right? Like, is more better? Is locally grown what consumers are asking for? Is there a limit to what we can do? And where do the economics and the inputs and the outputs, where do they all come together? Where do they all intersect? Because I think that's the ultimate goal, right? That's how we get to profitability, is when those three things are looked at together and not separately.
Can you explain a little bit about how OptimIA, since it is standing for Optimizing Indoor Agriculture, plans to make greenhouse production more optimized and efficient?
Yeah, well, first off, OptimIA is more about indoor vertical farms than about greenhouses. So I just want to state that first. So when it comes to efficiency is inputs versus outputs, right? And so that is a huge goal of this of the OptimIA research initiative, which is to look at where are the limits in terms of how much lighting and what even the thresholds of the spectrums of light that plants grow best under. So that, if we determine that, this much light is great for this cultivar, we might determine that this much more light is better for this other cultivar. And, oh, by the way, this other cultivar only needs, maybe a little bit less than that light. And so finding exactly for all these various cultivars that growers are producing, if we can find what those limits are, so that maybe rather than just giving all the plants, right, 1,000, I'll just say 1,000 micromoles of light, we say, well, this cultivar like 600, this cultivar, performs best at 400. This cultivar performs best at 250, but the lights are right on top of the plant. So that's, one of the ways to increase efficiency is to find precisely, what inputs each of these cultivars that growers are producing really need and want to be to grow into their best selves. And the other piece of efficiency, I actually just did a podcast interview with one of the postdoc researchers for one of the PIs. Her name's Fatima, and she looked at closed canopy lighting. So she actually moved the lights closer to the plants. And one of the goals with that was to reduce the spillage of light over the sides of the racks, so that the plants were actually the things that were capturing the light from the LED fixtures. So, she's also looking at the spacing of plants so that the plants are actually capturing the majority of the light, and that's not getting lost to the surface, the empty surface between plants. But then what's interesting, and the feedback that I think that the researchers really need to to demonstrate full efficiency, especially like an example like that, is they need feedback from the engineers, right? From growers to find out like, what are the practical implications of this research? How do we now, right, co-optimize airflow with closed canopy lighting? How do we move air through there if the lights are super close to the plants? And so these are the questions that, they're kicking the tires on, is like, okay, yes, like we can deliver light more efficiently to the plants if we move the lights closer to the plants. But do we lose something in the meantime? Do we lose an ability to control temperature and humidity? Do we lose an ability to control airflow? And if we do, right, then now we've created a greater risk and potentially lower efficiency for other systems, right? So yeah, great, we increased the lighting utilization efficiency, but now we decreased the airflow utilization efficiency. So there's trade-offs. And so how do we, again, find the intersection point where the trade-offs balance each other so that, they actually work optimally together? That's something I love about this project, is that co-optimization. It's not just the efficiency of one parameter, it's the efficiency of all of them together. But to get there, they have to figure out the optimization of each individually. And then the reason why this team is so powerful is that then we can come together and bring all those variables together to then test the next round with 2 variables, and then ultimately 3 variables, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome. Well, Nadia, thank you again for taking the time to speak with me for CE Ag Talks, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Dana, for having me.